Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Bluebeam and Revit integration webinar produced and presented by Sterling Systems. My name is Steve Coburn, and I'd like to give a little information about who Sterling Systems is and what we provide. As you can see on the screen in front of you, we provide several different services. Those include implementations, consulting, training solutions, Leica HDS scanning, and support solutions. All that information is available on our website. As you can see, there's plenty of links there for you to view at your leisure. We do provide sales for Autodesk accounts. We do provide information for HDS scanning through Leica. We are a representative for them as well. I am a applications engineer here for Sterling Systems, and we are a silver partner for Autodesk, and would like to welcome you and invite you to view our webpage out at your leisure. Our webinar today is going to be between Bluebeam and using the Autodesk Revit program 2013 version to write and control and to mark up your architectural sets, your construction document sets for your projects. Today we'll be viewing the Bluebeam Revu CAD version. They are on release 10. There are several other software programs that they offer as well. As you can see on the screen, we have the Bluebeam Revu Extreme and Bluebeam Revu Standard. There is also a iPad version that is also available. Today we're going to spend most of our time on the Bluebeam Revu CAD. That's the version I have, and I want to show you today and how it operates within Revit's program. As we get into the Revit system and the program running behind us now, I want to set up a scenario for you. I'm an architect, and this could be for an architect or a contractor, but right now we're an architect. And I am in the middle of producing my set for either, say, the client that I'm producing the project for, or the contractor, or even the engineer. We're needing to consult back and forth, and we don't necessarily want to go back and forth between our Revit files like we've been doing with the project. We want to start documenting our changes and making sure that everything is kosher. So let me get to our Revit app there here. So as you see, I have a project. I've got our set pretty much well defined here with our plans, our sheets, our sections, and so forth, as you would normally see with a architectural set. And this doesn't combine our structural and civil and our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, but for this purpose for the webinar, this should do fine. So as you can see, we have our everything correct here on our plot sheet, our cover sheet. I want to point you to the add-ins tab on our Revit. When you install Bluebeam, this comes in automatically as you open up Revit. It pops itself in. So therefore, you're able to get to your Bluebeam options here. Depending on your layout, of course, and other options, you may have many more up there as I do here. Within the Bluebeam, you can have the opportunity to create a 3D PDF amongst a 2D PDF, which is the Create PDF icon there suggests. The 3D PDF here is where we'll go to create our 3Ds. And you have several different options. You can create a 3D PDF of a image, of a view. Say I want to create a 3D camera view in my project. I can go to that view, curate the 3D PDF, and whatever's on my screen will create a 3D PDF of that. The U3D there will also create a 3D PDF. Within Bluebeam, it uses that command in a different way when we start working with adding extra 3D views to the original PDF. And of course, you can copy 3D to the clipboard, which then you can paste in any kind of application that will use that 3D information. And of course, our settings. The Create PDF sends us to a 2D PDF, but when we first come into Bluebeam and the Revit program interoperability here, you want to make sure that everything's going to be working right. This includes sheet size, this includes properties, plot quality, and so forth. And as you can see amongst our tabs here, we can have a lot of options available at our fingertips. I'll start here at the right end. If you have signatures, say your architect has signed a piece of paper for a digital stamp and put that on top of the stamp for the AutoCAD drawings, we can actually use that same signature, pull it into the PDFs, and use it as a stamp even to put on the sheets as they are being produced. We can attach any files necessary for that PDF to be complete. Stamps, bookmarks. The bookmarks actually lay out how your set will be defined. As you can see, it puts all the bookmark structure in there. And right now we have it set up to grab all our sheets as it's picking that information up from our settings on the General Settings tab. We can set securities, and we can even set the native Revit sheet size and so forth, which we can come in and easily do. Pick a sheet size, zoom, just like we would any normal time. Going into our applications menu, going to print, picking a PDF printer, and going from there. Bluebeam also does put in a PDF printer for your system, so you can actually print it from any application as well. Okay, so under our general settings, we're going to come through and make sure our options are correct. We're going to make sure our sheet set is set correctly. And I want to point out a very important option that Bluebeam thought was pretty necessary for this to work to our advantage. As you see hit down here in the bottom, all these checkmark boxes. As you can see, I've got the sheet set right now, but if I unselect that and say, let's say I want to see the floor plans, I can now make sure that I can only see the floor plans, make sure that if I only want certain floor plans, I can select those, and that depends on schedules. I can go to any kind of legends that I have. You know, depending on what's in the project itself will depend on what pulls up. So we'll go to sheets now because that's what I want to do. I just want to produce my sheets. And of course we can modify these in any order that we need to. A lot of times you'll notice that they'll come up way out of order. I had to move all the 2s and the 4s from the bottom to the top because we created those later. It does put them in order as creation. Save this for later use. It'll be make it a lot faster. We've already done that, so I'm going to hit OK. And I think everything's pretty much the way I want it to. I've gone through and I've depended on where I want my documents to go to. We can change that. It can go to the source folder, so wherever your project is located, it will put it in that source folder, or send it to a server site to do something else with, and you can input that there. So let's hit OK and get to our plotting. As I select the Create PDF icon, this is where it's going to send us, and we're going to actually do the printing. On a normal basis, you go to your applications menu button up there, hit plot, go to your settings and so forth, and change it like any normal PDF. But you know, unless you have other applications out there that combine your PDFs, then you're really not taking full advantage of what you can have possible. There are programs out there that allow you to do it. I think it's a lot simpler with Bluebeam, and Bluebeam also gives you a lot more capabilities of changing things. Okay, so I'm going to decide where to put this PDF file. I'm going to name it. I'm going to hit save, and that's going to be it. Since that takes a little bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because I've done it previously. As you can see there, it's right in there. So we're going to hit cancel, and let it do its thing. It took me probably about 5 minutes to go through all these sheets right here to produce one PDF. The PDF includes all the sheets that you see listed there. And as I transfer over to our PDF, Bluebeam Revu, um, it will open up if you select that box to open it up as soon as it gets finished. So here's Bluebeam, and for those of you that have not seen Bluebeam or tried it out, downloaded it, and tried the free version or anything, it may seem pretty similar to your Windows settings. Well, like Autodesk and many other programs are going out there to the ribbon type setting, that's what we see as we open up our Bluebeam. I do want to go through a little bit and describe where we're going to be working today and how I'm going to be going through and getting to things, because when I get going through and commenting on the PDF and doing things, I want you to have an idea at least where I got that. Where I may not describe it in depth as I do that. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing that because definitely we're on a webinar and have some time limitations here. So at the top, you'll notice that we have our screen set up to where we have a main view window, and our left and right have options, and our top and bottom have options. At the top, you'll see where all of our menus are located. As you change menus, of course, you get different options there as these icons change. Of course, doing different things to the PDF, as well as toolbars. All these toolbars have the same commands set up on them. As you can see, there's a little hammer, whatever you want to call it there, and it's there as well. So using the icons, I use the icons more than I do the toolbars because I can see a lot better that way. I am almost blind, if I could say myself, but using the icons is a lot easier. Okay, on my left, this is our main area where we're going to be using Bluebeam. As you can see here, it opens up with a recent file system. These are the files that I previously have been opened up and reviewed. As you go through these little icons here, it pretty much works like a Windows Explorer. I can go through here and choose to see my desktop, and anything that's on my desktop pops up. As well as I can go back and forth between the views that I want. These other locations here explain to your sessions and Exchange servers that are involved with Bluebeam. Our next icon is our bookmarks. Now if I have a file open, which I'll show you that we have our PDF file here written from previous, it will then pop up our sheet view. The bottom screen here allows for viewing modifications, screen manipulations, locations, and other options for profiles and settings that we would use during the PDF creation. So we could browse through these icons here, or if I know exactly where I want to go to, hit that bookmark tab, and I can actually single click on that and then go to the exact sheet that I want to go to. There's also a graphical view, and the most important thing that's involved with Bluebeam is our tool chest. It's a really important thing, and they've come out with in the recent versions. And this allows me to store any tools that I use on a regular basis. As you can see, there's a My Tool section here where I use highlights, text box, callouts, dimensioning, and signatures. I've got a bunch of signatures here. If I drop that in here, I now have a signature that I can size up and down. And believe it or not, when I print that, it actually prints out really well. So let's delete that. And of course, there's other options here that I'll get into later. On the right side, we have our properties. That's your gear looking icon there. That's properties for anything that will come through. Revit even, viewing in our 3D view, will actually come in with properties that are set within Revit. Our dimensioning, we have the ability to do spaces and search and find. The icon here that I'm on right now is the Sessions and Projects icon. This allows you to instantly collaborate with anyone that's online that you invite as well. They don't even have to have Bluebeam. If you invite them, it downloads on their system a free viewer. They then have the capability to log in, view a PDF that you have open that you've put up in the documents here, and they can actually mark up at the same time that you're marking up. And exactly getting in touch with them is not hard. You down here and they can communicate through a chat session. Very easily done. The project view, I'm going to leave this real quick. The project view allows you to add anything to a website that you want to pass along to your project team, say engineers, contractors, owners, anything that you want them to see. We can actually come through and basically come in, post our PDFs, and they can now see exactly what you're seeing. They can comment. They can, of course, there's security purposes up here. They can change and make sure that nobody changes anything. So when they do reload that file, it doesn't overload the original one. Excuse me. All right, very quickly, let's get through to the bottom part here as well. This is a summary area where anything that I do within Bluebeam can be changed, can be pretty much collected. This is a collection area where it keeps track of the markups. Anything that happens on a sheet, it actually combines in there. So you can see that right now it's on the markup that I've put in here for future use here. And it tells me when I did it, who did it, what time I did it, and whether or not the status has been accepted by the architect, contractor, or whatever. And when I do that, it actually gives me a date and time, the person who did it, and even if I have to change that, if I say it was rejected later, it then gives me both sets and allows you to see that progression. Okay, so to get back to our scenario, I'm an architect and we're sending this off to engineers and we want to add some markups. So we want to come in and we really want some area right here to make important. So I'm going to put a markup here and I'm going to take a text. We'll pull in here. Please lay out your mechanical design and structural supports. Now, of course, that's going to be a little bit less vague and more reasonable for an architect. So, as you can see, it's very easily to add a comment there. If I go to my summary down there, if I click on that, you can see that it actually added the note, and there's my call out. Okay, another feature that allows you to really work up a PDF is the dimensioning tool. If we go to the measurement, and I've done this previously, so it's been saved, but there's a calibrate button that allows you to actually take a known dimension within a plan. This could be any scale, mind you, and be able to locate a dimension. We know that that's 12 feet, so we're going to hit OK. And we can also recalculate and all that stuff as well. So in my dimension tools, I want a dimension, and you always want to make sure that it's the same dimension, and we can move that down anywhere we need to. I can actually drag that down. That's what I was wanting to do a while ago, instead of grab the whole thing. And we're good. So now, let's say I'm the owner, and I notice that I want a note in here. I don't see a dimension, so I want to know what that dimension is. Alright, we come in here and we snap to that wall, and it gives me a 13.4. Okay, we notice that it's kind of weird, so let's erase that and let's do another one. But this time I want to snap to that endpoint, and I'm going to snap to that, and it's actually going to let me know where the point is by that swapping aside. So, okay, we're good. So we're 13.4. I'm going to put in a note, and I'm going to say, actually that wasn't my note, that was my rectangular. So I'm going to say make sure this room stays the same. Okay, so technically that would be under a different name, and under the summary that would go to a different person. So, all right, so now I'm stepping into the contractors. Okay, we're just kind of drop that scenario for a little bit here, and I'll come back to it here quickly. Our contractors have a pretty good job ahead of them when they start coordinating the set. Some sets can be 100, 200, 300 pages, and they're 30 by 42, so really cumbersome to get around. Different volumes, if you want to put it. So Bluebeam made it a little easier to get through that, and I want to show you how they did that through hyperlinks. Now, say I'm going to be on this cover sheet, and I know I want to go to a certain sheet that's, third floor plan. Well, maybe I don't have this bookmark up here. Maybe it's still right here. Well, in any case, I can set a hyperlink up on my text here and automatically go to that page. Now, what this is good for is actually the section marks and things within the project. So, a very simple command here can take it a very long way. So, I'm going to kind of show you how to do that. And very simple. Let's see which one doesn't have one. I believe it's 2.7 here. There is a shortcut for the hyperlink. And under your markups, you're going to find hyperlink. But there's also a Shift H. I'm going to quickly do that. And I know for certain that that's probably page 11. And I'm going to make sure 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So I'm going to say 11. Now, this is all inclusive, saying that I actually put those in order, and it's actually page 11. But for right now, I know that's page 11. So when we hit escape, I go to 2.7, and then it takes me to page 2.7. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy. But what about the real dirty stuff? If I come in here to a section and I know that I've got to go find that section mark and go to 8.73, 7.3, and so forth, there is an option to actually do that all at one time, because we know that that mark is on every other floor plan sheet. So what I want to do is I want to show you exactly on this one here how the search tool can be done. Now, Bluebeam allows you to get a visual search criteria, if you want to say. So it's an image. So I want to get this rectangle. I'm going to put a rectangle around this right here. I don't want to try to get any of the graphics, because that slows things down. And as you notice, it's going to put that up there. I can search different files. I can search just this page, and recents, or even folder locations. So anything that's got this tied anywhere, you could find it. Well, I'm going to do the current document. That's the whole modern hotel document. And we're going to hit search. And what this is doing while it's working, as you see there at the bottom, it's about 15% through. It's going through each and every page. It's searching for that specific image, the 4A7.3, and it's going to grab a link, and it's actually going to put it right there, as you see that first one there. You see it started at the beginning, because see that one's page A2.6, and we're actually on A2.7. And so as it finds a second one here, I'm going to stop it short, because it doesn't take a long time. It just depends on what you're looking for. I'm not going to say it's very short either. So depending on how big your set is depending on how fast it's going to take. The process, the pre-setup for a construction set for a contractor would save a lot of time in the long run. The time savings can be especially for your estimators. If your estimator is looking for a certain image or anything. So we're going to stop this just to show the example here. So, as this goes along, it pulls in another icon here, and it allows me to select them all at the one time with that option there. And then I can come in here, hyperlinks checked, and for all intents and purposes, we got to go tell it where to go. First of all, I want to tell it that I want it to be a place. Now, this place could be anywhere in the files. It could be a different rectangle, another view. It could be another hyperlink, and it could also tell you to open up a file. We'll actually explore that open file here later. So I want to tell it to go to a place, because when I tell it a place, it comes over here on my left side where my browser is and allows me to choose it if I need to link it again. Okay, so we got to create, and I'm going to go get a rectangle. I'm going to go get it. So now I've got to go to 7.3. All right, I'm going to browse 7.3, and we know that was section 4. Now I'm going to encompass this whole detail just to make sure that it actually goes there. It's going to tell me the location and the file name. Hit OK. I got to tell it a name. Section 4 on 7.3. That could be purely up to your standards on how you want to name it. Use relative paths. Hit OK. Now we go back to that view, that page, and we will see that there's a hyperlink on my 2.6 sheet, since it didn't grab the 2.7 sheet. And you see my icon change there. It says an H on it. If I click on that hyperlink, it then takes me to the page. So as you can see, that can be done for anything. A hyperlink can be used to go between the same file with sheets or a different file. Pretty similar to what Revit does. So there's your part of your interoperability there. So another option that I wanted to point out while I'm here, say we wanted to view those two details at the same time. Well, as you can see, I can't only zoom in so far. Bluebeam allows you to split the sheet up to 16 times. We're going to do it once here. And I'm going to take the sync off because it also allows you to sync up locations and be able to compare. So now I have the option to browse to anywhere I need to. This can be a different sheet if I even wanted to go to a different sheet and view a different file. It could be done. So we're looking here, and that's similar. So that could be the same detail or something. Just to make sure things are working right and to compare things. And then I could actually take that one. I could actually set that to be a web tab and say I need to go to some specs, and we can actually go to a specking website if that's necessary, or go to my UL ratings wall fire ratings site. Go there to make sure that everything's working correctly. All right, we're going to close that one down. We're going to close that one down. And I want to go back to my first floor plan. And there we go, right there. Okay, let's say that we've come back to the architect now, and he's made some changes, and I'm the owner, and I want to review what he changed. So as the owner, we've got to compare to the one that he just sent us. So he sent us another file, and I want to compare the same sheet. So we come up to compare. I'm going to select our original one that we have open now. The one that he sent us is our modified. Now I've got to tell it a page since it looks like he's deleted one page or something's different, and we know that possibly this one is the 6th page. So we tell it number 6 in both of them. We want to keep everything that's the default. Default turn on dimmer does come on. That'll cause problems just as a viewing problem. It's not a technical problem, but I want that off. I don't want it to turn on the dimmer. So let's hit OK. And what this now does is actually compare my two sheets. This is the difference over here between the two. It actually minimizes the new version. So here's my old file. And as you can see, both screens are following myself. So as you move, it changes. Now, I'm noticing something different. Okay, that wall looks like it got bigger. They wanted more room or something. As you come over here and view around, you can't move or change things. So we're going to go here, and every once in a while it likes to skip on me. So we're going to go back to that page. And as you can see, it looks like that wall moved back. Alright, so we know that we made a note over here, and it looks like he may have not have followed that. So I'm going to close the original down, and we don't need to save that right now. Come into my different one, and let's take a measurement. We know by this that the file's still the same, and I'm going to go to that end wall and that wall right there, and we're going to see exactly, and we can already tell that the measurement's a little bit off because it's not the same. So let's go here, and well, we got a problem. 12'4", I thought we told him we needed to stay the 13'4", so it must have moved a foot. So now what we can do is actually bring in here, bring in a note saying this now needs to be 15 feet. Okay, so now we've marked that up, and I want to get it to him right away. I want to come up and I want to email him. And depending on what you've done last, it'll actually open up your email browser. I'm actually going to close that down when it pops up. So we'll keep going. I didn't mean to hit that. So as it tries to pull up my Outlook, which I've got closed down, it'll pop up here in a second and mess me up, but we'll keep going. So we can email that immediately to our contractor if he's actually out in the site and he's working in that area, or email it to the engineer and architect saying, hey, something's wrong here. You don't need to be doing this. We agreed on this spot. Well, that instantaneous contact there allows information to be kept up to date very, very easily. Okay, another option that we have available to us through that same comparison tool. Now we can close this out, and I'm not going to save this for all intents and purposes. It may be trying to open up that email. There it goes. It's going to ask us to save it, and I won't know. And there's the email. So as you can see, it automatically attaches it. I can then send it out to anybody I need to. And of course, I'm going to be asked to save that. Okay, now I want to do a different type of comparison. I want to overlay, and I actually want to see how far and how things change. So this could be a different way of comparing. So much like a light table would do in the old days, overlay pages does the same thing. So let's see. We know we want hotel and we want them modified. The different one, that's the one that we just got through creating with the other compare sheets, and a good practice is to delete that so that we're not going to be using it here pretty soon. Don't want to click on it by accident. Alright, so open up two files. It's going to go through the first one. We want to tell it what page. We know it's page 6. It's going to change it to be red. We want that to be seen as red coloring. And we got to tell this one page 6. And I want that to be green. I want to be able to tell the difference. Make sure you're at the same page. And if each one is basically a different scale, you have the align points. You can actually tell it the scale factor basically just by picking 3 points on each sheet. The same points, of course, but you can do it that way as well. As we hit OK here, now we have the ability to see exactly what happened. Okay, so now we know that that wall, which is, 5 feet that way, moved 5 feet this way and grew. And we can also see that other things change as well. So they renamed a room. Well, okay. So as you can see, this actually pulls those comments up, and then actually if we made any more new comments for the architect or the owner to be available here, they would pop up as well in this sheet. Okay, so moving right along, we get through this whole process, and we're down to the construction documents, and we're the contractor. We are in the process of reviewing, we're asking for information, we're putting out RFIs. Crazy. The process behind that and making sure that our documents get across everything, to make sure that architects are working right, are very easily done. So I'm going to open up the modified, and as usual we're going to go to our second floor, or our first floor here, 2.2, and just for intents and purposes we're going to make a RFI out of this stair. So I want to make a note. First of all, we're going to cloud it, and we're going to put a piece of text here, and we've got our numbering system down somewhere where we know what we're doing, and we're going to say RFI 001. Okay, but in order to create this RFI, I want to show some more information. So I want to hit new. I'm going to create a new PDF here, and throughout our process we've created some templates, and I'm going to create a Rfi Form Template. We hit OK. We're going to type in our dates, and we're going to put in numbers, everything that's from to whatever description, stair material, and hand rails. These are forms within Bluebeam that can be created through the extreme version as well. You can't create forms within the review. There's my date, signature. Here comes my date, February 13th, 2013. And of course that can be moved around a little bit to make sure everything's working right. Alright, so now I have the ability to put in more information. So we need to go back, and first of all I need to insert a second page of this. We insert a blank page, same size. It's going to go after. So there's my blank page. There's my first page, second page. Original document. We want to go to our edit snapshot. I'm going to take a picture of the stair. You saw the highlight go across. That's a good sign. Come back in here, right click, and paste. So now I'm going to type that in, and let's just zoom out a little bit. Control and pull your mouse wheel back a little bit. I'm going to scale this up a little bit. We're not really worried about scale. I'm going to move that down, and in all intents and purposes, I'm going to lock it. So in order to do that, you have to flatten the screen. So now I can't do anything. I can't add anything to my fields either. So once you do that, remember that you can't add to it. Okay, so contractor saves this, sends it off to the architect. In the process, he's creating a hyperlink to this. He's going to go place, actually going to go open file, going to go find that file. We're going to go to Rfi1. Of course, that could be anywhere, server located anywhere. Hit escape. Let's go close this down to show you exactly how that works. Going to pick on that. It opens it up. Everything pops up good. All right. Architect comes in. He opens up Rfi1 and he wants to go back to our Revit. So let's go back to Revit. We have set up a 3D view for the stairs, and it shows the angle and materials that we want to see within the RFI. We go to create 3D PDF, and I want to create a U3D, and I'll show you why in a minute. This will actually show exactly everything that's within the view. If you had other options, it would pick them up as well. So within this, we can actually change things. I can add all kinds of properties to this, of course, so I can Revit and allow it to be brought in through Bluebeam. So the architect's now here in Bluebeam. He's got the RFI open. I'm going to go to the edit button. I'm going to pull in my 3D editor, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to put a 3D view right there. It's going to go here, ask me where to pull the file. I get a background, light scheme, and rendering mode to be able to exactly see that 3D. So as I pull that 3D in, now we have more information at our fingertips, and this will allow the architect and contractor to actually see exactly what's going on. Now in 3D, you can leave markups as well. The option is very easy, just like everything else. I'm going to pull in a note here. We notice that actually that didn't work. I want to delete that. Okay, let's try that again. Slow down a little bit here. All right, so need handrail to extend 12 inches. Okay, so we've got that now. All right. So as we've gone around and we're fixing to tell the contractor tread material to be gritty concrete. That way they have some surface to the tread, All right, so if we leave this view, you'll notice that we get a pop-up here. And if we go back to that, it takes us back to it. But say we wanted a different view, and I wanted to make sure that the height here, say we're to make sure height is high enough for code or something of that, that difference there. All right, so just a simple note, and we exit out of there. Okay, now we have two dots that basically show us that we have comments. Well, in any of the 3D viewer, you'll notice that as you rotate, those comments get hidden. Well, in Bluebeam, they made sure that they weren't. And I can simply click on that view anywhere in the space here and make sure that I can get to that view. Hit the X, save it, and go about our business. Okay, so the architect pulls it in, he replaces the RFI or names it differently. He then goes to that, and as we can see, it's all there. He can come in here, review that, come in here, say status, accepted, accepted, accepted. All right. So as you can see, the going back and forth is very easy to do. Making comments and markups instantaneously and sending them to and from your project team is very remarkable and fast. So what I want to do now is to show you a different way of communicating. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that as we go along in our process here, that there is an option that you may not know about with Bluebeam. With Bluebeam, there is a session and a project mode that I referred to earlier in this webinar. That as we go along, we can punch our way through a project. So as before, we've come through and let me close these down. Come through and made sure that we had some spaces here. So what we did is previously we set up a drawing and we set up some levels here. And simply by putting a space in and putting some different spaces in those locations, we can actually now start communicating back and forth. So in my session that we created earlier, in this right side over here, we can actually get into it. And right now I've sent my guy Dave out there and he's starting to mark up a PDF that I've loaded. He's actually on the modified hotel and I can actually see where he's going. If I click over him and see his feet there, I now see what he's doing. He's actually going through and putting in some punch marks. And he's pulling from the list over here in the toolbox under the punch profile. And that allows you to very quickly pull in all the punch tools that Bluebeam pulls in automatically. Now we can come in here and I can see where he's going to, and if I try to move any of his tags that he's placed, as you can see they come up with gray dot. I can't move them, I can't change them or anything, and I can even add some if I wanted to. But this is a good reference to say, okay, I have two people out in the field. One's on the third floor, one's on the second floor, and they're punching back and forth. So they can actually communicate with the chat down there. And he's already told me that he's deleted some things and he's adding a date. We can chat through and say, make sure you notice the doors. You know, something simple. Maybe I've come through the second floor and seen some of the doors that have been scratched. I want to make sure that we're all good. He can say okay, he can say all right, we're working on it. And we can actually come in and add some pictures very easily with one of our markups here. As you can see, we have an image we can add, and I can add the image that I took in the field with my iPad, and there's one crack right there. And let's just say I can put it right there and then add a comment to my setting there, and my GoToMeeting thing has actually covered up my toolbar. So let me get there. All right, so now we can actually put in a comment and say, please repair crack. And let me spell that correctly. So as you can see, the tools here are very easily. He's actually putting some dimensions in and show you that he can actually do some measurements that he can actually come over and pretty much make a markup for. So now we can then send this to our contractor, say, hey, you need to get this taken care of. We can also assign the responsibility to whoever it needs to go to through their names or their specific hardware. As you can see here, it pulls up everything that you need to know. All right, well, I appreciate Dave doing that for you, and we'll leave this session and we'll close that out. But I want to mention that everything that we've done so far is pretty much related to the architectural. You can definitely do a different series of any kind of projects through Revit and through Navisworks. Navisworks, you pretty much select a model or a plan that's within that drawing file and do the same thing. You can copy paste, markup, add properties, measure. Everything is just as Revit is as well. We did have a couple of questions pop up, and one of them was wanting to know whether this was a licensed or a floating license type program. It is not. It is an individual license. It's not depending on a server to release a license, if you think of it that way, like AutoCAD does. It is a independent, and another person asked what the cost was for that. There, it's roughly between $170 to $200. If you're interested, please give us a call or let us know, and we'll get that information to you, especially the updated prices, since 11 will be coming out here pretty soon. One person also asked that if you made markups on one sheet and accidentally saved over it with another sheet and wanted to know if the hyperlinks and the markup stayed. They do not. They disappear as you did replace that file, like any kind of modified changes would for any kind of system file. I believe that's all the questions that we have today. If you are viewing this recording and would like more information, please visit us at our website. And we'd be greatly pleased if you would let us know if you need any information. And as of right now, I believe that's all we've got, and I hope you have a good day.